Hey team, Prajay here, and in today's lesson I want to talk about the volley, and specifically to clear up a big misconception that's certainly been around ever since I've been in tennis coaching, and that is that we want to punch our volley. Now, I know I've certainly used this phrase myself many times over the years, so you could say that I'm part of the problem as well. And yes, it is like all our shots going to depend. Maybe if I have a higher ball or I'm closer to the net here, I might be punching my volley more. But the problem with using this as a blanket expression to describe all of our volleys is it takes away from any touch or feel element to the stroke. Feel is going to be very important on the volley, and often our volleys are going to be more of a touch shot, whereas a punch implies this active, forceful hit at the ball. Whereas often our hand and our arm is going to be more passive, even on the volley here. I made a video on this channel already. I called it Catch Your Volley, which was all about having these nice, soft hands and being able to absorb pace from the oncoming ball. I was fortunate enough to have been at Wimbledon this year, and I was watching British player Neil Skupski, who's actually world #1 in doubles at the moment, and who went on to win the title. I was also able to see a bit of Chris Eubanks, and what struck me about both of them was the smoothness to which they played their volley and how much they were really using their legs and their body to hit the shot, and they certainly weren't punching at the ball with their arm in isolation from their body. And that's what we're going to explain today. So let's get into it. On the forehand, it starts with a turn of our upper body as we see the ball coming anywhere to sort of 45 degrees to sort of 90 degrees here. That really sets our racket to the side and shifts our weight to our outside foot in this position here. And then it's this slight rotation back through towards the ball that pulls the racket back out in front of me, back to this ready position here. Now, if I can couple this with my inside foot stepping in towards and through the ball, I get this double whammy of this slight rotation, but also this weight transfer, this forwards momentum through the ball. We want to be volleying with our feet and not our hands on the volley. We should be actively stepping in towards and through the ball on our volleys here. And actually sort of the racket is only moving about sort of this far, sort of a foot or so with the motion from my arm. The problem for club players is if you do this without sort of using your footwork and your body work, well, you're just going to get no power. So it's why I hear coaches sort of moaning and shouting at their players that they've got too big a swing. They're over swinging on their volley, but they're not using their feet or their body, and they're simply trying to get pop on the ball and put the ball away. If you watch the pros, it looks like they're swinging their racket this much on the volley, but that's an illusion, and what you're seeing is the feet and the body kind of fill in these gaps from the setup to contact and through the ball. If you're doing this and you're still finding that the ball's going into the net, or it's dropping short, or it's a weaker shot, I guarantee what is actually happening is that you're simply not hitting the middle of the racket. You're misstriking the ball on the edge. You're not finding the sweet spot of the racket. This is a really important element to the volley, and we've really got to track the ball all the way to the middle of the strings. Now, on the backhand, it's a little bit different. It starts with the same setup, this turn of my shoulders by keeping my non-dominant hand on the racket here. And again, it's not then a push or a punch forward with my arm. And what pulls the racket into the contact is going to be a squeezing together of my shoulder blades. It's this little splitting of my hands where my non-dominant hand goes slightly backwards as I squeeze my shoulder blades, and my racket goes slightly forwards. It's this. You can just do this motion here, and you can see how my racket is pulled into the contact. This is really going to get me using my shoulders, my chest, and my big muscles. And again, if I do this with my footwork as well, where I step across and in, for want of a better word, you can see how much more professional this looks than what I see on a day-to-day basis, which is this pushing and punching forwards with the arm. I was first shown this by doubles coach Louis Caillet, must have been sort of almost 10 years ago, and he actually works with Neil Skupski, that British player, the Wimbledon champion I mentioned earlier in the video. So you can look at this on the forehand from my ready position here. As I take the racket back, I let go with my non-dominant hand as I turn, but then I reconnect my hands together on the finish as my racket is pulled back out in front of me here through my step towards the ball and the rotation of my body. Whereas on the backhand, it's the opposite way around. I keep my non-dominant hand on the racket as I take the racket back, and I split my hands apart on the contact with the ball here. But what I don't do is I certainly don't stop when I hit the ball and punch at the ball. This would give me no control over the sort of the strike. I'm gonna get inconsistent contact, and it's gonna be harder to control the trajectory of the ball. I want this racket moving through the ball. So a drill for you to practice this would be to get into your good setups. Let's say it's on my forehand here, where I've made my 45-degree turn. I've got my weight set on my outside foot. I set my racket up here. I've got these nice soft hands, and I have a practice partner feed me the ball, and I just simply do nothing with my racket. I obviously move my racket to find the ball. What's really important is I'm still finding the strike, that clean contact out of the sweet spot of the racket, but I'm just letting the ball rebound off my racket here. Then if I can add in my footwork and my body work with the same feeling of being more passive with the racket and just finding the center here. Now I add in my footwork, my body work here through the ball, while concentrating on hitting the middle of the racket. Watch how we'll soon have you hitting volleys like a pro. Okay, hope this video has helped, guys. Hope it makes sense. Get into the comments below, let me know. And if it has helped, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and I'll see you on court in our next lesson. Cheers, guys.